Hey yo, so today I have a couple games for you, both of which I completely lost, and yeah, well, we're just going to get into it. So, my opponent starts off this first game with move e4, and I follow up with c6, which is my normal opening. My opponent goes knight f3, and this has all been played before. I'm just going to skip past some of the theory. Opponent plays f4, I go c4, and I go knight f6, knight c3, bishop g4, takes, bishop b5, and I decided to play the move rook c8. A very reasonable move. I don't want him to destroy my structure. My opponent castles. I play the move e6. This has all been played before many times. E6 is just to open up my dark sword bishop, not really to solidify my knight. My knight is actually completely fine here. I would be taking back with the queen in all positions because if I took back with the e pawn, I might get an isolated queen's pawn here, and then there might be some attacks on my king. This pawn is always weak in some situations. I don't really want to get into that. My opponent plays h3. I go bishop h5. I could have played bishop f5, but I thought that bishop h5 was very reasonable. My opponent plays g4, bishop g6, of course, and my opponent goes for this move knight e5. All reasonable, all been played before. I continue playing the best moves. I played bishop d6, and my opponent ends up playing this move queen a4. And this is kind of when we exit known territory, and I already have an advantage. And I played correctly. I find the best way. The reason why queen a4 is a little scary is because what he's doing, he's not only putting pressure on my knight, he's also attacking the a7 pawn because the knight is pinned to my king. So I have to be very quick about what I do. And I thought, okay, wait a second, didn't you just like ruin your positional play permanently? Because earlier I'm not able to take this knight on c3 because after pawn takes, sure, he gets a hanging pawn structure in the center, but it's nothing to laugh about, nothing to scoff about. He might even be able to play c4. He might be able to get some things going. But for this, I decided to figure out the best line. I realized after bishop e5, pawn takes e5, now I can capture the knight on c3, and then he just has a bad pawn structure. I thought, okay, well, then he has a bad pawn structure. I'm doing quite well. And I go for this. But this is wrong. This gets a big ol' orange question mark from the computer. What I should be going for is I should realize that now is kind of my last chance to castle. And I have to go 0-0. I really have to go 0-0. There are other lines, but 0-0 is basically the point of all of this. If I don't castle, then I'm actually in some deep water. I thought, okay, but if castles I lose a pawn, I mean like here. For some reason, I didn't realize that at the end of this line, I do pick up this pawn, he picks up this pawn, but rook h3, and this attack is decisive. I didn't realize that. I should have realized that. It's actually not that hard to figure out. And already, I get into a position that the engine deems as pretty even, but it's not what I wanted. And after bc, I make another mistake. Again, this is like my last chance to castle, but I was a little scared of my pawn on a7. And castling is the only move that keeps advantage for black. Every other move is either equal or worse. I played a6, and I'm already losing. I'm already basically almost lost here. And I don't know what I've been doing recently. I don't know why I've been playing so poorly, but I'm already in a losing position, and we're on move 15. Like, what is going on? Bishop c6 is of course forced. I thought rook c6, and I thought that I was doing decently because I had some pressure on this pawn. I was doing great, but just rook d1, right? Rook d1, and I didn't realize that the queen defended this square. Rook d1 would just be basically positionally winning for white because he gets the d file, and after queen c7, my opponent plays bishop a3, cuts off my king's access to castling, and I am like completely busted. I am busted. If I'm like, oh, but you hang pawn, no. He doubles up. This is over. This is game over. Yeah, that didn't exactly happen. My opponent didn't play correctly, but he played bishop a3. And now I really only have one move that actually keeps equality. It's b5. I have to kick the queen back. Let's say here I play this move h5, which is kind of crazy. I'm just trying to open up his king, and this position could go from bad to worse for white very, very quickly. And my opponent has to be very careful. It's still a game here. But instead, after bishop a3, I thought, well, I have this move, queen c7. I don't really see... well, I have some pressure on these two pawns. I don't really know. But I just completely missed bishop d6. And I'm just losing. I'm just losing. I'm lost. I'm basically already lost. I have very little counterplay. My counterplay revolves around me playing the move b5, but my king is always going to be in the center, and I'm basically just dead lost on move 18. This game has barely started, and I'm already losing. I go queen c8 because I thought, okay, well, I won't threatening b5 and to take this pawn. That's a threat at least. I completely missed the issues of the position. My opponent plays c4. This is the best move, actually. At depth 20, this is the best move. I guess not. Actually, no, at depth 20, this is not the best move. I just lied to you. For some reason, I thought c4 was the best move. But my opponent plays c4. It's a completely decent move. It keeps some advantage. And I play this move bishop b3, which I thought was very nice. And my opponent actually has to sack the exchange here with the move c5. A little crazy. Basically just saying that, okay, well, although I'm down in exchange, he's just completely crushing my king. And like, for example, if I play this, queen f4 comes, I take the rook here, and like queen d7, my opponent has a very simple plan, and it's really, really difficult for black to actually do anything. Like queen g5. Okay, well, I guess I play rook g8. I don't know. Rook queen h4. I mean, h6 seems natural. And now my opponent just goes very simple. My opponent goes rook b1, targeting this pawn and threatening some wild stuff. And I'm dead lost here. It's hard to find out why. This is a little bit of a tougher position, but I am completely lost here. And my opponent instead plays this move. I played b5, which I found, I mean, very natural. He can't recapture. This is my whole idea of bishop d3. He can't recapture because he loses this. And after queen b4, I just take back with the bishop, and I'm completely fine. But that's wrong. I should have taken back with the rook. Normally, you're not really supposed to go for this, for these silly little tempo moves just because they're tempo moves. There's also BC, but that's I don't even understand that move. It's very, very scary. I mean, like, he might even be able to sack the exchange with something like this, and I mean, this is terrifying. But no, he might not have done that. BC is the best move. Rook c4 is the second best move, which makes sense. But the reason why bishop c4, the most natural capture, is wrong is because of the move a4. And this is just... I don't know how many times I can say I'm dead lost in a game, but I'm dead lost. What am I supposed to do here? a4 comes. It doesn't look that strong at first. I mean, I'm not going to take, of course. That seems like a death sentence. I'm just not going to do that. But after I play this move f6, I thought it was very natural. Basically, I'm just saying that if takes, my king can get off to e7. I can finally develop my rook on h8, and I might be able to get some counterplay because I still think my opponent is better. I know that I'm up a pawn, but I still think my opponent is better here. I didn't realize how much better. But there he captures. I capture the bishop because I don't want to let his pieces in. Pretty natural. My opponent trades rooks with me. I take back with the queen, and my opponent finds this amazing move. My opponent finds just queen f4, and I'm just there's nothing to be done. I can try my best. I thought of something I thought was a pretty decent try. I played fe. That was pretty decent. Opponent recaptures with the queen, and it's a very decent try fe because actually the only move is queen captures. If my opponent plays bishop captures, it's actually just a draw after rook f8. But still, after queen takes e5, very natural, he's attacking my e pawn, he's attacking my g7 pawn. I play king f7 to defend both, Opponent gives me this check, king g6, and my opponent just plays rook c1, and yeah, his rook is getting in. This is just over. He's gonna play h4 and checkmate me soon. I go queen here. He goes h4, but it's a draw. It's a draw only after I find one move, and it's actually the most natural move. It was h6. I missed this move because I thought that there was a better move. I thought h5 was better, but I missed this idea. I missed the move rook c5. I completely slipped my mind. I didn't see rook c5 at all. h6 is actually the only move that saves a draw, because after, let's say, rook c7, I just play like rook g8. My opponent like gives me, let's say, this check. I come here. There's actually no checks on this file. He goes rook c5, but after queen d1, king h2, I have this. I have a couple moves that work here. I have either the queen e2 or queen a4, which is a nicer move, stopping the e4 check, and I'm actually okay. And it's still a game here. It's not a draw, but it's equal either way. I play h5. My opponent plays rook c5. I give a check. King h2. I take, because I mean, what else am I supposed to do? And it's just checkmate. So that was the first game. Another loss under my belt, but hopefully we can get to a better game in the next one, maybe. But you know what happens, I lose this game too. In this game, I'm playing black again. My opponent goes with e4. I play c6, the only opening I know. We're gonna get through all the theory, and I already make an inaccuracy on move 5 because I'm an idiot and I don't know the line. The line here, there's a bunch of moves that work. h5 is a funny move. g6 makes sense. c5 makes sense. I bet e6 is a mistake. No, e6 is fine. But everything here is working. But I played bishop g4. My opponent comes here. It gives me some nice ways to play. I want to trade off my light squared bishop anyway, so takes. I go e6, trying to develop my dark squared bishop. Everything's very normal. I play bishop e7. I think bishop is better on e7 here, because after bishop g5, that happens in many lines. I already have a bishop here. Maybe it was better to play bishop d6 in some lines, because actually his knight on g3 is a hindrance and stops bishop g5 from being very effective, because h6 actually just kicks the bishop out. Because after bishop h4, g5 comes and the bishop is trapped. So maybe bishop d6 was better, but bishop e7 is the move the computer chooses. c3. I go knight bd7, just developing my knight. My opponent comes here, and I decide to go for something interesting. I was thinking about this move c5 for a while. Just saying that if takes, I mean knight c5, but I didn't really see what I was getting here. After takes, I understand. I get the e4 square, which is very nice, but at the same time, my opponent doesn't have to trade queens. My opponent can go like queen here, for example, and I didn't really see what the big harumph about this was. So I didn't end up playing c5. I played something pretty close to it. I played the move knight e5. Basically just arguing that my knight was not as good on d7, and I was going to position it to the g6 square. So I did that. I played knight g6, and I'm just arguing my knight is better here, and I might have some h5, h4 attacking possibilities in the future. So knight f4, I trade. I go for this move knight d5. Pretty normal. My opponent goes back, and I decide to trade the dark squared bishops. This is also not the best decision. I shouldn't have gone for the attack here. Actually, the way that black gets an advantage is with castles, which is pretty funny because like all of my pieces are aiming at his king. I thought that attacking was the most reliable thing. So I have bishop g5 and I get my queen in the game, and I'm like, okay, I got some good potential after knight e4. Knight e4 is a very interesting move that I had to calculate. I have to be pretty precise here. Way to lose the game is like queen f5 because of this fork, and I thought that queen g6 was also bad because of this check and like king e7, for example. I thought that here, here. Well, no, that would be very bad. Here, here, and here. And I thought that I'm just down a pawn, but I just missed the very simple way to play. But either way, he didn't play knight e4. He played this move c4, but now I play knight f4, and now knight e4 is impossible because of the simple checkmate. Right. So my opponent plays queen e4. I was thinking about playing this move f5, but I eventually decided against it. The best move here is very funny. The best move here is long castles. I always miss these long castle moves. I have to remember to find them, but yeah, I wasn't worried about queen e5, just so you know, because after takes, I would get a fork here. I didn't play long castles. I instead played h5. Very natural move. I'm just trying to play h4 and like win the game. My opponent plays here, and I was just so stupid. Like I missed the easiest thing in the world. I played h4 like an absolute idiot, because I knew that he was trying to play knight e4. I knew he was trying to play knight e4 and put my queen off sides, but for some reason I just didn't even, like, I think I saw it, which makes me angry. I saw this move, I saw his idea, and I played h4 anyway. And after knight e4, obviously I'm basically lost. Queen f5 would end up with this fork of this and this, and I have to stay guarding the knight, so I have to play this move queen h6. But I mean, you can see why this is bad. Check, king e7. He even takes on b7, which I thought was a bad move because of h3, right? And I get some attack, but just g3, and yeah, there's nothing. He just grabs a second pawn. I go for this. He gives me this check, king e8. I mean, I'm still looking for checkmate. I have to do something, but he plays his move d5. I have some counterplay, but there's just nothing here. I go for this move knight e7. Very natural. I'm trying to play this move queen f6 and up to f3. Takes. I play queen f6. It gives me this check. I have to take back with the queen. Otherwise, I would be trading queens, and a queen trade. I'm down 3 pawns. That'd not be very good. My opponent goes rook here. I go king f8 with the idea of actually playing queen f3. My opponent goes queen d7. I try to make something happen. I play queen f3, but actually queen takes e7, king g8, and he has this move. And I'm just down a piece and 3 pawns. There's just nothing I can do, so I just resign. I thought that he had a better way to do this, actually. I thought, well, okay, his idea was that he was going to take this pawn, and this was my plan. I was going to recapture the knight, and maybe I ate something. But I thought he even had this line that after here, king f8, he just staircases me and makes a forced queen trade. But either way, he doesn't see that, and he sees this instead, and I just lose. And this has kind of been how it's been for me for a decent bit of time. I'm just losing basically every game, and it's really, really rough. Yeah, so I'm gonna get some work done. I'm gonna try and, I don't know, I'm trying to work on this a lot harder, maybe study more on this game. But yeah, that's the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys found this instructive, entertaining, all the above. Remember to like, subscribe, maybe leave a comment, all of the normal things YouTubers tell you to do. Yeah, good evening and good night.